So, long time no see. Um, I wasn't sure if I was going to make more videos on this YouTube channel, and I've been getting more comments on some of my videos and questions. So I thought I would pop on here and make an update video, how things are going, and just what's happening and just where I'm at with things after my last videos that I made regarding therapy. And in my last videos, if you watch them, it was really documenting my experience with like EMDR, internal family systems therapy, as well as lens neurofeedback. And because I found when I was looking for information online myself, there wasn't a lot of information from people who had done the therapy, especially with the lens neurofeedback, which was so incredible for me, for all of the anxiety symptoms and everything I was experiencing. And so I thought, create all these videos. If people are looking for it, they'll have info. They'll see how someone's gone through it, if it's something that they feel inspired to look into. And so since my last videos, I can't really remember which was my last update. But basically since then, I have done more therapy. I have done more lens neurofeedback. And that was mainly because I got to a point where I felt finished with therapy for the time being. And my therapist agreed it was a good time for me to sort of, take what I've learned and all the healing and growth that I've done and see how I do out there in the world without, more sessions. And so I did that, but only for a short while, because I ended up meeting someone and getting into a relationship. So I'm in a relationship right now. And I felt like because I had so much relationship trauma going into therapy from my previous relationship, which I talk about in another video, it was something I wanted to do while I was while I was getting into a relationship, because I had a hard time figuring out, like, is this just me being on high alert and, the trauma type symptoms coming through, or are the things that I'm thinking about, like, are they things I should really worry about? So my therapist really helped me get through a lot of those issues. And just because I've been going back and forth between two provinces, I wasn't able to be super consistent after a while. But at that stage, like, we had done quite a bit more, and my therapist felt like, I should only keep coming to therapy if I feel like I need to, but she felt like, I had done a good amount again. And I did do, someone last week, or like a week ago, asked in a comment on one of my videos if I had done more therapy after my last update. So I did. Specifically, she was asking about lens neurofeedback. And I did do some lens neurofeedback sessions, but not like full series of treatments. It was just like starting a new relationship, because I just thought I wouldn't be in a relationship for a very long time, and I was not out there looking for anyone or out on dating apps, and I wasn't really open to relationships at the time. So it was just something that wasn't even on my radar. And so I did more lens neurofeedback. So I would do 3 sessions, take a big break, come back, another few sessions, take a big break, come back. I also added red light therapy, which my therapist office started offering. So I added that in, which was really nice. It just added this deeper layer of calm within me, so I can think better and make more decisions that are not from a place of fear and anxiety and that type of stuff. So I did that for a while. There was a new therapy my therapist started offering. She just told me about it, and it's called OEI therapy. There's not a lot of information about it. We did a little bit of work before I started traveling a lot, and I have to say it's super interesting therapy. Once I'm back just more in a stable routine in my current city, I am definitely going to explore that therapy more because I just think it's super interesting. But if you look it up, you won't find a lot of information. So if I do it, I will post videos about that, let you know what the difference is between like EMDR, IFS, and OEI. But it's really hard to explain OEI, I think, without really going through the process. So that's where I was. I haven't been in therapy for a while. I've been dealing with life as it comes on my own without going to my therapist. And it's been interesting because in a way, I think the last little while of therapy, and probably why my therapist was encouraging me to just kind of, take a break from therapy is, anytime something was really wrong, I would go to make an appointment with my therapist where she sort of felt like, well, you now have, the tools and you've done a lot of processing of trauma to trust yourself again, right? Like you can figure out a lot of these things on your own, and don't worry she said, if, she's not going anywhere. So if I need more sessions, is always reach out to her and she'll book me in. So I did take her advice because obviously I have a lot of trust and she's always had my best interests and always been 100% supportive of everything. And so I started doing that, and I felt nervous about not going to therapy anymore. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I can deal with things on my own. I can figure these things out. And with the amount of processing and therapy that I've done, it's like I respond differently. I'm not as reactive. I've still been reactive, obviously, because if things come up in your life, you have emotions, and you could be the most balanced person, but if something happens in your life that's new or different or a change, then you still have emotional reactions to them. But I feel like those emotional reactions don't stick with me as long. My body doesn't react as bad anymore. Like my body that's why I did all this type of somatic work, because all of this like trauma was just like lodged in my body. And so I would get really sick, or I'd have all these digestion issues or other issues when something would be happening in my life. So that has reduced quite a bit. And I just feel better and more confident about making my own like decisions for myself. It sounds weird, right? Because you're like just decisions for yourself. But I think when you come from, well, for myself, definitely having that background of trauma, I didn't always trust myself, or always thinking I'm making the wrong decision, or thinking whatever decision I make, if it's the wrong decision, it's the end of the world. But, after processing the amount of trauma I have now, I have it in my mind. It's like, if you make a decision and it's not the right one, it's not the end of the world. Like I can make a different decision afterwards, if I don't feel like the decision I made now is the best one for me. So I don't put all that pressure on myself anymore. Like, oh, everything's like the end of the world. When you, what do they call it? Catastrophize, right? So I don't catastrophize like that anymore. It's like, oh, well, if that doesn't work, then I can do this instead, or I can choose to do something else instead, and it's not the end of the world. So that's a big piece for me. And so I'm in a relationship. I actually also got a puppy, so that's why I've also been super busy back in after Christmas. I got a puppy and got him at 12 weeks. He's 8 months old now, and he's super cute, and I love him so much. And but yeah, he's a puppy, so a lot of work, but totally worth it. And I'm so glad I got him. And I had to move because my landlord is doing the whole scam of, kicking me out, renovating their condo, and then they're going to re-rent it at a much higher price than what I was paying because I lived there for so long. So, I had to drop what I was doing and had to go find a new place to live, and that was really a challenge. That's when a lot of my trauma was reactivated, was back in kind of January, February, March, in there because of that whole situation. Because I was out of province, I had to fly back, had to find a new place to live, and just, when you're someone who has a trauma history, just that feeling of not having a home or not having the stability or not knowing where you're going next that's going to be your home, it was very, very triggering for me, and I did struggle through that. And so that is when I did have some additional therapy sessions to sort of help calm down my nervous system so I could just focus on what was in front of me. And the other thing is there was another person that made a comment recently saying, you should become a therapist or offer like a training program or whatever. And what I haven't shared in these videos, because I was strictly sort of making these videos as, just a resource for people to find on these specific therapies, the lens neurofeedback, the EMDR, the IFS therapy, is that I am trained as a coach in Ayurveda. An Ayurvedic health coach, because what I haven't shared on this YouTube channel is that years ago, when I didn't know about I didn't know that the things I was experiencing in my body were very related to trauma. At the time, I didn't know. And I had all these like mystery health issues, and nothing was working for me. I would go see the doctors. They would do whatever test, and no one could find anything. And I was just my health was so bad at that time. And so I sort of went on this mission trying to find things that would work. And then I found Ayurvedic medicine along that path. And it was the one thing that really turned my physical health around, like, hugely. So I went on to study it. I got a few certifications in it while I was working in my career. I've also done like yoga nidra teacher trainings. I've done meditation teacher trainings. I'm currently in a somatic mind-body coach training as well. And basically, I am in this space right now where I want to transition out of my corporate career and into what I was always meant to do, which is coaching, because I've been doing that since I was a kid, really. And that is really my calling. And, in the past years, I've taken on some coaching clients or just done coaching for free just to make sure I keep up with my skills and keep using all the stuff that I learned. But right now I'm just using it all on myself. Right now I'm working on getting more strict with my diet because I fell off of that during all the stress and therapy that I was doing. When you take on too much, you just put too much pressure on yourself. So I was like, okay, I'll get the therapy piece done, and then I'll go back to the other things that I was doing. So I'm just in the process of integrating Ayurvedic practices back in my life, especially the daily routine, which is so good for trauma and trauma symptoms, and doing meditations and really doing a really nice holistic diet for myself, and just working on stuff like that while I figure out how I'm going to transition out of a career. It's really hard for me to transition out of my current career because one of the ways my trauma manifested, because it was seemed like the one thing I always had control over, is financially supporting myself. So I'm in a career that I've done well in and I'm good at, but it's really not my calling. But it's given me the financial security that I need and that I rely on because I wasn't really taken care of in other ways growing up. So the way I figured out to take care of myself starting in my early 20s was through work. And I'm like, as long as I can support myself financially, I don't need to depend on anyone else and I'll always be safe. And that has been a good thing because I haven't had money problems, but it's also a bad thing where it, has held me back. I've let that hold me back from stepping into what I'm meant to do. But it's okay. Everything happens in its own timing. I am getting there, and I will start at some point posting more about sort of these other practices that support your trauma healing journey. So these other pieces that I've used and that have helped me so much that I haven't discussed in any of these videos, because the thing is, you do the therapy and it's really good and it takes care of a lot of things, but you also need to really take care of yourself on like a mind, body, spirit level, to kind of integrate everything and to experience more healing in your physical body, especially if your trauma has manifested in a lot of physical issues, which it did for me. And those things that I've learned over the years and practiced over the years and shared with other people over the years, they are just, true practices that work. They are based on ancient medicine that's like 5,000 years old. It works. Modern science continues to prove those things to be the tools that will help you. And I will be sharing more about those because at some point I will start to coach people and offer coaching. And as a result of that, obviously, offering a lot of content to people so people have somewhere to start, where people can have an experience that'll help them, that will inspire them to take, steps that they need to. Those steps don't need to be with me, but as I will just be happy. I'm happy if something I say or share can inspire someone to take the next step of what they need to do. And so that's where I am. Life is, it's not like something super amazing has happened. I've still had my challenges. I'm still working through things, but more on my own. I will go into therapy again if I feel like I need that extra, something comes up that's rather challenging again, that I need the extra support. And I'm fine with that because, as you know, if you're someone who has a trauma history, asking for help or accepting support is never easy because no one cared about you and no one offered you the support when you were going through horrible things in your life. And so you learn to never get support and never ask for help. But I'm at a stage where I'm okay with accepting support, having it come in. The other thing I also did was actually I didn't mention, is I sort of looked at my friends group and, kind of distanced myself away from people that I didn't feel I had a super healthy relationship with, or wasn't really serving me in a super positive way, because I just really want those people and relationships in my life that are mutually supportive and we can get each other, we don't disrespect each other in any way. And I'm just kind of done with the toxicity of certain types of relationships. And so that's been really good. It's brought a lot more peace into my life. Like, my life is a lot, just like right now, is taking care of my puppy, spending time with him, doing my work. I work from home some days, I come into the office some days, hanging out with my boyfriend, like seeing my friends. And, it's nice to just focus on simple things, the things that really matter and make you happy and bring peace to your life. And I feel like I'm getting closer to where I want to be with all those things. But yeah, one of the next big steps will be, moving more back into coaching, trying to help other people, sharing a lot more with other people. And I don't really have a timeline on it because I'm just, again, in that another transition phase in my life. So that's the update. If you have any questions, you can comment below. I will answer back in the comments. I don't really respond back in DMs too much, so on the comment thread is great. And I will be back soon and share another update at some point. But if someone asks something that prompts another update, I will definitely do one. But I hope everyone is doing well, and please take good care of yourself and be kind to yourself, and be there for you and do what needs to be done for yourself and your own well-being. And don't feel bad for taking care of yourself, I guess, is the main message here at the end. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day, night, wherever you are.